I think of songwriting a little bit like being on a debate team where you're like proving your hypothesis. I was doing some conversation recently and they were like, well, but love is so many things. And I was like, yeah, I know. But in this song, I'm trying to prove that it's pain. Biggest motivation to write this song was that I think there are songs about breakups and there are songs about like first falling in love, but there's a sort of a shortage of songs about the fact that it's challenging to maintain a relationship and that you can be in a healthy, good relationship that is communicative and still have periods where you have a fight with the person that you care about. I'm saying this is what it's like to be in a relationship, and then this is what it's like to lose a loved one, and then this is what it's like to love your parents and worry about them all the time. So it's all just kind of about like the ongoing emotional wear that loving people has on you. Say it's not enough to be in love, you need to prove it somehow. I think when I was writing that opening line, I wanted to sort of like a proverbial like hazing or something. Oh yeah, you're in love? Like how much have you bled for it? We are in a period where I love you gets thrown around like nobody's business. Love you, man. Hey, love you, love you. There's the difference between that and being in love. I don't necessarily only mean romantic in love. I mean, being in love with anyone. If it's your family, if it's your friends, if it's your, partner. It's not dollar signs or pickup lines or anything that you could kiss away now. Learning what love is, you learn a lot about what it isn't, and you learn about what other people kind of think it is. And you see people taking all the steps on paper that you're told to take by, reality television and magazines and whatever. And it's still dysfunctional for all of them. Nothing pushes my buttons quite like relationship advice gurus online, like people like basically telling you how to be more attractive or more likable. And to me, I'm like, dude, but then they're not attracted to you. Like you kind of gotta be you and then find somebody who's like into that. Otherwise it's very unsustainable. That sinking feeling that you get when you say something you'll regret because you were jealous of some stranger that she met when you were gone, you feel insane. Because love is pain. This was just a thing that has happened once or twice in every relationship I've ever been in. You get your feelings hurt and you rationalize it and you act like you're fine. You act like, it didn't hurt your feelings. And then later you're in some conversation and you snap in some way. You say something shitty and you feel terrible about it. You get caught up on it and you think like, well, what did that mean? You know what I mean? You kind of overthink stuff. I'm not jealous, but I'm a serial overthinker of things. Say it's not okay to feel that way. It's real. You may not make her happy. So what's wrong with me if honestly I want to be the only way she can be? This is one of those verses that's really like a confession, I think. Probably the most selfish desire that I have is to be the everything for the person. You can be fooled into thinking like you're both everything to each other, but it's like, yeah, they're always gonna like need to have some friends who they talk about something that you don't share. There's this selfish desire to like be the only person capable of making a person laugh that hard, or be the only person capable of understanding a person that deeply. And I think that's unrealistic and a little bit short-sighted and pretty unfair, but it's still how I feel on a bad day. That hollow feeling in your chest as you both wordlessly undress after a fight. It's getting late, you tried your best, but then she cried and you're to blame. And love is pain. I love repeating chorus motifs in songs. I think it's like a really powerful way to drive a message home. And this song, I felt like the only thing that really needed to get repeated was just the phrase, love is pain. And I wanted to sort of keep continuing the narrative each time that the chorus melody came. The first chorus is like saying something you regret, whatever. Then the second chorus is what happens right after that, which is you're living together and you're taking off your clothes, but it's not romantic or sexy. You're just about to get into bed and lie there and think about what you said. That's the thing that everyone I know that's been in a relationship for a long time and lives with the person they're in a relationship with, they've had nights like that. Don't believe anyone who tells you any different. If it's easy, if it's fun, something's missing. There is this kind of thing that we tell ourselves and each other of like, if it's not easy, then it's bad. And I have this feeling of like, well, there's somewhere in between there. Like it can be challenging and I don't know, there's like, I feel like everything in life that's like super worth doing, you have to spend some energy maintaining it. The upshot of being in love is so rewarding and so fulfilling that it is worth the small amount of struggle and sacrifice and frustration that it might cause. There's this dream I've had about mom and dad. Makes me so sad I wake up crying. Can't believe I'll have to live through that. Wish it wasn't mandatory dying. Well, I grew up with pretty severe separation anxiety. It was really hard for me to spend a night away from my parents. I barely ever did it. I'd throw such a tantrum that it wasn't worth it to them. My grandfather passed away when I was 3, like in the room I was in, and so death became this very tangible, real thing to me as a young kid. And it was equal parts like, oh, grandpa died, and also watching like your parents, who are the people telling you not to worry about stuff, grieve. So I think that all kind of solidified this like, oh, life's very temporary. This is the order of things. Your parents, if you're lucky, you outlive your parents. It's always in the back of my mind, and it's something I have nightmares about. I'm ultimately grateful for it because it means that I appreciate my time with my parents always. I don't take it for granted. I prioritize, time with them over, maybe sort of like slightly more selfish pursuits. We go through life, we play pretend, act like it doesn't have to end. It's all right until your friend runs a red light. You watch his car burst into flames. Love is pain. That last verse about losing a friend was I've lost a couple friends over the years, but that specific one was something that happened to a loved one of mine who lost a friend of theirs. And it was like, I think that's one of the core fundamental things about human beings is, again, it's empathy, right? So it's like watching your friend lose a loved one and watching how that affects them and how that changes them and makes them see life in a slightly different perspective. It's definitely always on my list of goals for a song to like match somebody's experience in the perfect way and make them feel really seen or really understood. So I think it was just like that final, like, here's another example of a thing that's happened to a lot of people. I think what I learned, less so from writing the song and more so from like performing it, you learn that the gap between you and strangers is pretty small. You're living pretty similar lives, regardless of circumstance, regardless of sort of any of the differences you think might be large. We all have pretty similar human experiences. We were either away from our loved ones or spending like way too much time with our loved ones. When you spend 12 months, 24 hours a day with somebody, of course they're gonna get sick of you. Of course they're gonna be annoyed at the way that you do your laundry or whatever, So it's understandable.